What's up, everybody?
Welcome back to another episode of Four Dummies. And I am joined by the other three dummies. I have Mrs. Skullface. She's full of jokes tonight.
Yeah.
The lunatic himself, Mr. Robert D. Talk.
Hello.
And we also have this evening, Jisk1.
Yep, what's happening?
Tonight, we are going to talk about Fanstoys and their repaint ventures. Somebody who once instructed me told me, if you do something and it's considered a misstep one time, that's a mistake. If you do it more than once, that's a habit. And I feel like it has become a habit. How do you feel about, because we're getting repaints left and right, Jetfire, then the Cyclonus, and now the Galvatron, and I'm sure more are to come.
At this point, maybe the Fanstoys are going to get a little bit of heat.
I'm okay with it ultimately, as long as you're not releasing the wrong color first and then coming out, like release the right color first and then do like this special metallic paint job like they've been doing. I'm fine with that.
Do you think that they released the preferred version first each time? Jetfire, preferred first version?
I think the first version is the preferred version.
Really?
And I'll say it because they did it with the Dinobots. They released the Dinobots first and then they released those heavily chromed out like
This actually does not begin with Jetfire. You're right. It begins with the freaking Dinobots.
Yeah, it does begin with the Dinobots. It does. It does. But there's been a big gap between the Dinobots and when this has kind of become a habit.
Didn't they do it with Quake Wave when they released the second one?
They did do it with Quake Wave.
If they're releasing what they think is what people want, but then they're getting feedback that people are like, oh, no, I wanted this. And then they decide to release this, that is, I feel like, one thing versus just releasing one thing with the intention of releasing a second thing that they know people are going to purchase it a second time.
Correct.
To get the same.
I would have wanted the painted Jetfire.
But let me ask you this, how much more was that painted Jetfire?
It wasn't much more.
Well, because I'm just wondering, like, I understand too if they're like, look, we're hesitant to release this because it raises the price point and then we may be pricing ourselves out of, the market.
Oh, so you're talking about price
That's
point.
interesting. That's an interesting.
Right.
But was it much more? Robert, you bought the painted version.
I think it was like $250.
And the original one was like $230.
It was like around there, like $2 to $230. There's one obvious cheap grab that companies do, and I don't think Fanstoys has done it. Imagine first releasing Hot Link and then Sunstorm to get the grab on the mold, and you know the correct, proper seekers are coming. I think what prompted them to do this with Cyclonus and Galvatron wasn't necessarily some premeditation on their part. It was they've got their thumb on the pulse, and they saw people are going for these plus versions, more tune accuracy coloring. So they saw an opportunity there. Like, oh, you want real tune accuracy. So they went back and they re-released them, and they're limited.
You're suggesting that they're following the Takara game plan.
Yeah.
So I think that's valid. I think that's a valid opinion. But I think that they see something where they can make a slight change and change the dynamics.
But I think another factor that makes it palatable is it's a limited run. They're only doing like 500 of each. So it's not just like a re-release.
Bobby, didn't you also say too, I don't remember where it was, but you had said like sometimes these companies that are renting factory space just have to put something out to keep their space.
I'm glad you pointed that out. So there was something that happened on TFW where an exchange was made. Shout out to Protection Prime. There was a guy that asked, could someone explain what the point of a pre-order is when something is this limited? Usually, most industries use pre-ordering to ensure someone gets something and verify how many need to be produced before it goes on sale. The system I see here looks like a quick cash grab which fully supports keeping the secondary market pricing high. I was going to get back into Transformers, blah, 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 blah. So this guy, Protection Prime, he says, I don't have an answer to your question, but as it's been alluded to, Fanstoys and other third-party companies don't have their own factories. Unlike other companies that can get pre-orders and make their toys based on the number of pre-orders, they have to jockey for factory time. My guess is they have to look at what they have as an operating budget, make a business decision as to when and how much time they can buy, quote-unquote, from the factory, and then show that there's incoming money backing up the factory time, with the understanding that they'll put the money down at the same time of the factory start, and the rest when the order begins to ship. As a result, my guess is that pre-orders are limited because they're basically telling each e-tailer you can sell this many because this is how much time we could reserve with a factory. Once all the pre-orders are full, they can waive the pending invoices at the factory and say, your money will be here when the work is done. And then he goes on to say, or I could be 100% wrong, just a total guess. And then Dai Lejang, or whatever his name is from Fanstoys, says, you are right.
Ooh.
And shout out to MP Collector. He sent me that screenshot.
Galvatron and Cyclonus specifically, the first releases weren't bad. It's not like people are out there going, man, it's not quite right. So
no, they're not
it's
bad.
not like, yeah, so that's why to me, like, so they're releasing something that may be a little bit more accurate or just maybe slightly, it's like, you're winning either way.
But I feel like the question is for those that want the hypertune stuff. It's those people that it's really hurting. If they're like, no, I want Cyclonus's legs to be pink.
You need to know that these companies do that, and you need to roll the dice and wait on it.
But the problem is that we haven't known that Fanstoys would do this until now. And if you bought Sovereign, you wouldn't have known for years, just until now.
If they never released any of these recolors, you would be supremely happy with what's on your shelf.
Correct.
Right.
So it ends there. You don't need to get the repaint. It is freaking good. That Galvatron is sparkly and purple.
Right.
Beautiful.
That's like what I was kind of alluding to.
You don't need the repaint at all.
So-
That's how good it is.
Do you feel the same way about Takara's practices regarding the MP Plus line?
Yes, I do.
I think that both are kind of off base. If you are putting out something and then later turning around and putting it out the way you think people actually want it, that you are in the wrong. I am critical of Fanstoys in this regard. One time is a mistake, now it's a habit.
Yeah, but what if they're doing their original release is what they think people want, and then they get feedback that this is what I wanted, and they're like, oh, okay, well, we can give you that too.
That's what I think happened with Takara's. I think Takara was like, oh, look, people really want it more like the cartoon colored that way. And then they realized on the same time, we're making a ton of money. We're selling these things out again. It's always been about the money, but I think before they were trying to satisfy some fan outcry, and now it's just about making some extra dough.
But hold on. I think Fanstoys is following what they see the trend that Takara either caused or picked up on. So it comes back to Takara. Your customers aren't static. It's a culture. It's dynamic. It's changing. And the aesthetic, maybe the appetite for this.
But at the same time, you can't. No, wait. You can't excuse that behavior because at the same time they could announce that another one is coming when they drop.
But what if they didn't know that?
Right.
What if they did what they thought was what people wanted, and then their feedback was?
But I don't think their feedback was that. I don't think that people were like, I'm
But
not
that's the
getting
thing.
the Cyclonus sold out.
With the exception of Cyclonus, they do come out years later.
Okay,
And
but
the exception
also
of
consider
Jetfire
the
as
fact-
well.
Consider the fact that instead of doing a rerun that kind of harms the investment the first investors put in, they do rerun it, but in a new aesthetic. No one feels like they got robbed.
I feel like that Quake Wave second run was darker specifically, so everybody knew it was a second run.
Right, and it's like you got this one.
I'm good
you
with
got
that though,
one.
but
they're both beautiful.
But the darker run is not the cartoon accuracy. It's not the quote unquote what people want.
Not everybody wants that though.
I agree, but we have to come to some sort of baseline, right?
No, we don't.
What everybody is kind of following. Takara is following them. X-Transbots is following them. A lot of companies are following them. So everybody is moving towards G1. So everybody has to know that the G1 cartoon is the baseline. Now, I don't know if Fanstoys knew that when they released Quake Wave, because that was some time ago, but they definitely knew that when they put out Cyclonus. Now,
Well, look at when they put out the bugs. The beginning they put out for Bombshell, the gray one and purple at the same time.
Exactly, they put them both out at the same time. That's entirely different. That's up to the consumer to make a choice. What I think they've done with Cyclonus, what I think they've done with Galvatron, what I think they've done with Skyfire is they've robbed you of the choice.
Don't you think the market and the colors changed so much? Masterpiece Transformers, I would say they're half as popular as they were 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, I would agree because most of the key characters are gone. Like season 1 is the key, and most of season 1 is done.
But I mean, okay, are you saying that Fanstoys, right? Does it, like we're talking about factories again? They have their pre-orders up, but they're planning on putting out this figure, and they have the design, the paint, everything planned. Are they supposed to now say, you know what, we're going to double the production and have 2 different choices? That's what they're supposed to do.
No,
the small company.
What I'm saying is that it is a cash grab. The Galvatron is sold out. There's plenty of people that want the Galvatron. It's the same with the Bugs. It's the same with Perceptor. It's the same with a number of their releases. There's a high demand for them. They could just re-release them. They're putting them out in specific colors in order to kind of grab everybody.
Right.
So it is a cash grab.
I
just want to acknowledge
Cyclonus isn't orange. The colors are so good in the first time around, though. It's not like
Yeah, that's my thing. If I were mad about the way the color came out the first time, I'd be upset. But I'm not trying to grab these second ones because the first one's fine. It's fine for me.
And I'm in the same boat as you, Jisk. I'm in the same boat as you. But I think there are people out there that are like, man, if I'd have known that the cartoon version was coming, I would have just waited for the cartoon version.
I mean,
I would have felt the same way during Bombshell. Had they not put both Bombshells out at the same time, I would have been, if I would have gone in and got the purple one when they put out the silver one, I'd be like, man, that's the one I wanted.
Yeah, but the difference is a colored plate on the chest, right? We're talking about an entire color scheme. Can we expect a small company like that to say, we are going to do another run of this next year and it will be a different color scheme? Is that a smart business move?
No, I'm suggesting don't re-release it. Or if you do re-release it the same way.
But I think if you re-release it the same way, then the people that pulled the trigger the first time it sold out are going to be irritated.
Yeah.
You're going to have some people that are like, well, I wish I could have had this color in the beginning.
I think a lot of people are.
But I think the majority of the people are going to feel grateful that they have the original run.
I don't know if that's true. I see what you're saying.
But
I see,
that's what I'm
I see what
saying.
you're saying.
Feel that way?
I think
okay,
that
but
their
Bobby, do you feel that way about
intentions are
Cyclonus and
probably
Galvatron?
good.
So I don't want the pink legs.
Me neither, and I bought it anyway. I don't want it, but I got it because it was limited.
So let's talk about that then. Is the limited a trick? There's
No,
something.
there's
something
There's
something off about
something-
this.
Well, I don't know if there's something
No,
off
I
about
think
this.
that it's a smart business move to do that limited because I can't imagine they're going to make the same amount. Look at how with Quake Wave, right?
Right. There has
That
to be a
value dropped because they made too many.
No, they didn't make too many. They dropped them when Takara was dropping them. That was the problem.
I think if you sell out, you have to assume there was a spillover that you missed, and you can only account for that spillover. You can't imagine that.
Right.
Wow, we could have sold triple the amount.
I think you'd have to agree too that like, all right, 75% of the people that bought this are not going to go in on the second one. So we're going to make a smaller run because we know just our pool of people is less.
And we sold 100%, but we could have sold 125%.
That's a fair
But the
point.
smart move was to only make 100%.
That's a
and
fair
now we're
point.
going to have another run, 25%. Whoever missed out can get this. And guess what? It's a little different. You're going to like it. And original people, you're going to be happy with what you have if you don't want to get this one.
That's a fair
That's
point.
what I think.
That's a fair point.
If it's your vision
Mm-hmm.
creating this toy and you're like, this is what looks best to me, this is what I think most people are going to buy, I'm going to make what I believe in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I make that, it does well, and then I see somebody else making something different and it's doing well, and I decide, well, it's no extra for me to like reprint this with different colors if that's what people want.
So I think that's valid if it's like every now and again, but now it's becoming every release.
Like maybe your vision honestly says, but it looks better in gray. My passion is the gray pants.
Correct.
And so I'm going to release the gray pants.
If you want black pants, why are you buying the gray pants? Go buy a different pair of black
That's
pants.
fair. That's a fair point. But
Well,
I do feel like at the same time, though, if you're showing loyalty, if you're like, look, I'm willing to trust you on this venture, then you are punishing the original buyers by releasing it limited to the second people for the colors that most people want.
Or are they not? Because
I think
obviously
the
the first version is gone. So though it may be not called limited, it was limited. It's done.
And if you're purchasing for loyalty, you're
It's
going to purchase
gone.
whatever they put out regardless.
Yeah, there's been a lot of logical points made in defense of Fanstoys tonight. And I can co-sign all of those logical points. But something doesn't feel right to me. And I don't know how to quantify that.
So you feel there's something underhanded about it.
Yes. In closing, are you in support of constant repaints of quote-unquote cartoon accuracy from Fanstoys for second releases?
Oh, when you word it like that, no.
Yeah.
You know-
I feel like if I released it in my original vision and it sold out that way, and then I decide to re-release a second vision, I don't have a problem with that.
I'm going to go on record and say I don't like it. It doesn't feel right. And I don't know how else to verbalize that.
Pictures of all of the new Fans toys with the words "Not today, Satan" written over the top of it,
Google images of Majin Buu, Kakarot, and Vegeta.
and ham hocks.
I want a side-by-side comparison of the two Jetfires.
I want Bubby's phone. I want Bubby's phone that was smashed in the marital
dude. I want a picture of a girl with personality.
Oh. I'd love to know what you think a girl like with personality looks like, Jess.